Welcome to Demond Does, your nerd space safe place. I am Demond, father of two, husband of one, and leader of this here Demodcast. My next guest is from Philly and speaks Mandarin. Chinese, y'all. Self-published her first poetry book this year, 2025, just in case you're in the far distant future. And is live or die for Jamiroquai. Ladies and gentlemen, and all those on the binary spectrum, give it up for J Friday!
Ni hao. Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great.
Well, thank you for taking time out to talk to a perfect stranger. How you doing?
Pretty good. And I mean, I do that a lot anyway, so it's fine.
Hopefully this continues the streak of having wonderful conversations with people you just met.
Hopefully, I know it will.
Okay, before we get started on the 6 questions,
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us where you would like to be found on the internet?
Yes, so I have a website that is thisjohnisfriday.com. For those of you that are not Philadelphia locals, I'll spell that out. So it is THISJAWNISFRIDAY.com. Now, that's my branding for everything, including my Instagram and TikTok, which is TJIF_artistry, ARTISTRY. Most people think it's just because my last name is Friday, but it actually stands for the website name This John is Friday.
I'm from Indiana, and
Mhm.
I live in southern Indiana, right across the river from Kentucky. And the only reason I knew the word John was because of the Bel Air show. That was the first time I had heard it.
See, I had to explain what John was to my 9th grade English teacher back when I was in high school. And my explanation was John is matter itself. So John can be literally anything, a person, place, thing, event, any and everything. Any and everything can be a John. It's a gender neutral term. It's everything.
I was describing it to, like, once I understood, like, I got it out of context. As soon as I heard it, I got it out of context. It's not difficult. And my wife goes, John? I'm like, it's kind of like Smurf.
Smurf?
You know, because every Smurf was the Smurfs. Do you remember? You might not, I forget how much older I am than most people I talk to. Have you heard of the Smurfs cartoon? Do you remember that at all? Okay, so Smurf was like their filler word for just about everything. This Smurf, and you know, you just kind of translate it out of what the context of what they said, and so that's how I lined it up for her. She's like, oh, okay, that's how it wound up in my head. I know that's probably pretty silly, but that's
Yeah, you can use John 3 times in one sentence and it still makes sense.
And the people around you were like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I
The
love
John
it.
from the John last night that was over there with the John. I was like, yeah.
I'm not sure if I should be okay with the fact that I gathered I was picking up what you were putting down. The beauty of language, which is something we're going to get into. Matter of fact, Jay Friday, are you ready to answer the 6 questions?
I am.
Question number 1. When did you know you wanted to be a poet?
So poetry was not my first form of creative outlet. I started off writing short stories in 3rd grade. I wrote my first completed song in 5th grade, and in 6th grade, I wrote my first poem. The reason I started writing poetry is because it was out of protest. They moved me to a classroom that I did not want to be in. So I wrote a poem about the whole situation and showed it to my guidance counselor. And it just, I stuck with poetry since 6th grade.
That is an amazing story.
Thank you.
That is incredible. It's like, I'll show you. Oh, and wait, I'm good at this?
Yeah, I mean, writing poetry was just It was another form of storytelling. And that's one thing that I've always liked to do is tell stories.
You have quite the. I was looking through as I was doing research for this episode. I marvel at so many things that the creative people that I talk to get in that they're proficient in, that they get into, for lack of a better way of putting it. I mean, you're a songwriter, which you mentioned earlier.
Mhm,
You do you're a fashion enthusiast. You're a stylist. Like, is there
mhm.
anything else I missed, by the way?
I make jewelry sometimes. I
Okay.
used to do it more often, but as I started to work more with fashion design, as far as working in retail, I haven't touched my jewelry kits in a little bit.
Are we going back to it? Is this an exclusive?
Potentially. Because I created an Instagram for my jewelry that was Gems by Friday, but Gems was with a J.
Mm-hmm.
And I was selling things from there and making commission pieces for others, but I haven't done it in a little while.
I love that you do Floral Friday. You wear floral print every single Friday. Can you tell me more about how that started and like where it's gone?
Yeah, so it started back in 2018. I worked at a daycare at the time. And I just wanted to find fun ways to dress up for the kids and things like that. So I started to come up with theme days. And on Friday, I did Floral Friday. So it started just as a fun thing. And then it stuck because I actually happen to love flowers. My last name is Friday. So now you encounter a Floral Friday on Floral Friday. And I've just kept with the tradition since 2018.
Do people see when they see you out regularly on Fridays, like, ah, there it is, there she is?
Yeah, especially at work for the longest. They're like, okay, it's Friday. That's how we know what day it is because Jay is wearing flowers.
They're like, oh, here she comes, the weekend's coming.
Weekend's right here.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Question number two. What do you wish you had known when you first started out?
When I first started out writing poetry, I wish I had known that it didn't all have to come from a place of pain. As I grew up and developed my craft and worked on different types of poetry, because poetry was a creative outlet for me. Like I said, I expressed angst in sixth grade from being moved to another classroom. And then I was going through a battle with mental illness when I was younger as well. So I have depression and bipolar disorder and anxiety. So I just started writing how I felt. And I thought every poem either had to rhyme or it had to be about something heavy. And that wasn't the case.
What was the instant that that light bulb came on?
I'd say when I got to high school, my whole middle school, sixth to eighth grade, I was a very angry kid. Then when I got to high school, I started to look at poetry a little differently. I went to Philadelphia High School for Girls. It's a local school here in Philly, and they had a poetry club. I wasn't involved with the poetry club until my senior year, but just seeing the different things that people would write about, I was like, huh, okay, poetry can be fun. It doesn't have to come from a dark place. So I had fun with my writing ever since then. I've given myself like small challenges with certain poems. Like I did what was called reverse poetry. If you're unfamiliar with reverse poetry, it's a poem that when you read it going down, it tells one story. Then you read it from the bottom going up and it tells a completely different story, but it's all in the same order.
I had never heard of this before, so let me make sure I heard this correctly.
Mhm.
So you write the poem. I'm using a straight down, basically, down on the paper.
Right.
But if you read the words, like you read the words in the same order, but going back up the poem, it's a different story.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I guess I'm broadcasting my ignorance here. That's really, that's really cool. I had never heard of such a thing. And that means at least one other person who listens to this hasn't heard it either. I would assume. If not, then if I'm the last one, then okay, fine. But
A lot of people haven't that I've encountered.
that's really, really cool. Do you do that often? How popular is it in your corner of the universe, I guess?
I haven't heard other people really do reverse poetry at open mics or things like that. And it's not something that I do often. I just like to make my writing fun. So I give myself small challenges. Like I wrote a series called The Gun Chronicles, and that's where that poem that's the reverse poetry is found. So it's the very last piece in the series, and it's called A Mother's Perspective. So it's supposed to take place at like a news conference. And I always say I hate when media sticks cameras in front of mothers' faces when they just lost their sons, like she didn't lose a piece of her soul. So it's supposed to take place at a news conference telling the story of what happened to her sons. So when you read it going down one way, it tells like a fantasy. And then when you read it from the bottom going up, it tells the reality.
Question number 3. What's your go-to order at your favorite hometown restaurant?
It is so funny. I love this place called Banana Leaf. It's in Philadelphia's Chinatown on 10th and Arch. I have been going to this restaurant for probably about 15 years now. So they see my face almost on a weekly basis. My favorite go-to order, it's an appetizer. I get the roti canai. They're a Malaysian restaurant. So what roti canai is kind of like a crepe-like pancake that you dip into curry. That's my appetizer. For my entree, I'll either do the pineapple fried rice, which they used to actually serve in half of a pineapple. They don't do it anymore, but it was amazing when they did. I'll do the pineapple fried rice or the basil noodles, which are very spicy. And then my favorite dessert that they have there, they have a deep fried ice cream with deep fried bananas.
If I somehow make it to Philly, I'm gonna come back with 20 or 30 pounds because I've talked to you, I've talked to Lindo, talked to Enoch, and you're like, oh, these are all these great places. I'm like, I don't know if I could go back to Philly.
The thing I'm passionate about is food for sure. It's right under the poetry.
So, are you a foodie?
I am. Yeah, I would consider myself a foodie.
What's your go-to dish? Like, I assume you cook. So, what's your? If I'm wrong about that, my apologies. But what is your dish like? I'm gonna put my foot in this today. This is when I'm gonna throw something down.
Okay, so I do cook. If we're talking about like a dinner item, I'd say I fry chicken pretty well. But just in general, one thing I'm known for is actually my home fries. I love potatoes
Mm.
and I like to put like, fried onions, peppers in it, but it's the seasonings that I use that make them very colorful. So my home fries are normally like a yellowish, almost orange tint because of the seasonings that I use.
Later. I'm gonna stop recording this so you don't have to give away your secret, but you gotta give it to me.
I got you.
Question number 4. What are you curious about?
I've always been curious about languages, and that's actually what led me to learn Mandarin Chinese. Since my older brother, he's about 9 years older than me. So growing up, he introduced me to anime and Japanese music. So I remember the first MP3 player that he gave me had one song on it, and it was Heart of Sword by TM Revolution, and that was the one of the outros for Rurouni Kenshin, the anime. So I was sitting there in like first grade just singing this Japanese song. And then I had learned Simple and Clean, the Japanese and the English version from Kingdom Hearts so well that I could interchangeably sing the verses. So languages have always been of interest to me. And when I got to high school, we were offered four. So we could learn either Latin, Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, or French. And I chose Chinese.
So you chose the hardest one.
Yes. But surprisingly, it was a lot easier for me because I'd already had a different love for different languages and cultures. So learning Mandarin, because it's also a tonal language and I sing, it wasn't as difficult.
That makes a lot of sense. How many chances have you had to use it?
I was very fluent when I was in high school to the point where I was told that I spoke Mandarin without an American accent. So the funniest instance I can remember is I went to a buffet with my father and I got sick. So I was in the bathroom throwing up, and a woman came back to check on me, and she's like, "Hi, are you okay?" Now she asked this in English. So in Mandarin, I replied, I'm okay, but I don't feel well. So she replied in Mandarin. She's like, okay, what do you need? Who are you here with? So I asked for some water and I told her that my father was with me and he was waiting for me in the lobby. She said, okay. So she leaves, she comes back with the water and she's like, I'm here with the water. Where are you? I open the stall and she looks at me in shock. And the first thing she says to me is, you're not Chinese. And I'm like, no. And she was like, you spoke so well. I thought you were Chinese. And I was like, no. so, so I use it as often as I can because it is my favorite language. Like the grammar is cool and it's almost like speaking slang. So the greeting ni hao, which is hello, is made up of two words, ni, which is you, and hao, which is good. So saying hello is literally you good. So it's just fun. It's a very fun language.
Wow, I may have to change my Duolingo around.
I have a 275-day streak on Mandarin Chinese for Duolingo right now.
I'm gonna have to find you on Duolingo and friend you.
By all means.
Question number 5. What should I ask you that I didn't know enough to ask?
My religious beliefs. Because I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't use profanity within my poetry. And I also don't write erotic poetry, which is something that a lot of my peers tend to get into because, for me personally, I'm only 27, but we're inching closer to 30. And it's like, grown folks can talk about whatever grown folks want to. But my core religious beliefs are what keep me talking about positive things, even if it is a heavy subject matter. And it's what keeps me focused on my goals.
Do you have any advice for people that struggle with that? Like being in the middle of the storm whatever's happening in your life at the time. It's easy. I'm speaking for myself personally. It's easy to see this isn't right and this isn't right. And I'm trying to find, I'll just use myself as the avatar, trying to find something to hold on to like, okay, this is worth it. You know what I mean? You do this on a regular basis. Like, how do you manage that?
I had to find things on my own, from the religious aspect going into the creative aspect. I was always encouraged to ask questions, to do my own research, figure out why I believe in what I believe. And I appreciated my parents for that. And that spilled over creatively because then it's like, okay, I can talk about these different subject matters that weigh heavy on my mind, but I don't have to stay down about them. These are things that I see happening now, but I know there's a hope for better world conditions, a hope for the future, and things like that. So, because of having that religious hope, I don't stay down for long, even if something bothers me with my creative writing. Like in the book I released, the very first poem talks about the death of my grandmother. And she died when I was 10. I was there, I witnessed it. So it was very traumatic for me. So throughout the years, it's something that I would write about. And finally, I was able to get to a point where I could write about it without crying. And that's when I knew it's like, okay, I'm not fully healed from this, but because of the hope that I have from the future, I know I'll be able to see her again. My advice is to keep going, find what you believe and why you believe it, and then hold on to it and inculcate it in everything you
do. Question number 6. If you could create a new holiday, what would it commemorate?
So funny enough, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't celebrate holidays, but if I could create a new holiday, it would commemorate blue liquids. That is something I have an obsession with. I love every type of blue drink, the light blue Gatorade, which is called Glacier Freeze, not Cool Blue, Glacier Freeze. I love the Days Blue Pop Soda. I love the Blue Island Calypso. Like any drink that I come across that's blue, I have to have it all the time. Like I love blue liquids. So I'd create a holiday celebrating blue liquids, honestly. Everything you drink that day has to be blue, including Kool-Aid.
Okay, so my follow-up to this is, what day or what part of the year? If you don't have it, if you don't have a specific.
It would have to be in a warmer month because wintertime, you want to drink things that are nice and hot, and I can't think of too many hot blue liquids. So I'd say sometime maybe in early spring, summer, probably around May.
It feels like a springtime, and blue's
Yeah,
like a springtime
because you can get
color.
hugs from the corner store, they are also blue,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
blue water ice, so why not?
Okay, this is the last question. I did not put this in the notes, so I apologize for that. Why create?
Because it's a lifeline. So my creativity, whether it was from telling stories to writing music to now writing poetry, it saved my life. Like I mentioned earlier, I was a very angry and bitter child because of a lot of things going on. My grandmother battling cancer, losing a lot of friends, and writing things out really saved me. So I create what I say I write poetry for is I write poetry to paint pictures, tell stories, and heal. And that's not just for me. So I create because I want to share my journey with other people who are either where I used to be and I can show them that they can get to where I'm at now.
I wanted to congratulate you not only on publishing your first poetry book, which is an amazing accomplishment. You hosted your own event for your book release at a Black old art gallery. How cool is
Yes.
that?
Thank you. It was so much fun. Honestly, the event turned out to be better than I could have even have dreamed. There were about 40 people in attendance. I had two other featured poets come to perform, and it started with an open mic. So I had the open mic first. Then my featured poets, I used Yogi John, Askari Moore, who's incredible, and Just Trinity Young. She's also an incredible poet. She does freestyle poetry. So then I got into the book reading for myself. And Trinity introduced me. She's like, you posted your whole event for this whole night. It's about you. Let me introduce you. And just the amount of love that was poured into me that evening, it was so beautiful.
That's awesome. Golly, I'm psyched up for the rest of the day, man. Jay Friday, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was awesome. This was fantastic.
No, thank you. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to talk with someone interesting as well. So thank you for reaching out.
Thank you once again for joining us, whether it's your first time or this time for the 6 questions. If you like the show, tell the world. Please jump on your podcast app and leave a 5-star review and tell your friends. That's the best way to grow the show, and more can join the conversation. And until next time, see it, hear it, speak it,